Well, folks, the most expected headline of all time is here. After just 2.5 weeks, Highguard developers Wildlight Entertainment have laid off most of their development staff. Welcome to Inside Games Daily, the only gaming news show brave enough to wish we did not have to report this 2 times in a week.
Yeah, it used to be a little more spread out than this. We had time to stretch out and recover and rehydrate, and now the hits just keep coming. At least it seems like Highguard is not shutting down for now, even if their studio is really, really drawing back.
Yeah, it was the same with 2XKO. I think that game is still going to go, but we're not sure how long. So either way, former Wildlight Entertainment level designer Alex Grainer broke the news yesterday on LinkedIn, posting that, quote, along with most of the team at Wildlight, I was laid off today.
Grainer mourned the event as, quote, there was a lot of unreleased content I was really looking forward to that I and others designed for Highguard.
Wildlight Entertainment followed with the statement posted on X later in the day, stating that they, quote, made an incredibly difficult decision to part ways with a number of our team members while keeping a core group of developers to continue innovating on and supporting the game.
Yeah, it's kind of non-specific. Doesn't really say how many developers were let go or how many are staying. But at least the statement makes it pretty clear that the game will stay online and playable for the foreseeable future.
And it's unlikely the game will receive any major content updates, though, unless the game experiences some sort of miraculous player recovery. They added 5v5, and I actually have been playing it the last few weeks and enjoying it more so than the 3v3 mode. But I don't think they have player counts right now to support the huge team they had.
Well, yeah, it's not a total ghost town in Highguard, but the game is clearly not doing well enough to support whatever team it had. It was an auspicious start, we'll say, bolstered by the notoriety of the game's placement at the end of the Game Awards 2025. Highguard actually managed to launch with really impressive Steam numbers.
Yeah, the game attracted almost 100,000 concurrent players on January 26th, which seemingly put it in vastly different territory than, like, Concord, which launched to about 600 concurrent players. And Concord was also on PlayStation, I guess, whatever. But so is Highguard. And Concord also had an early access period that had a little higher player numbers. I remember they were like 1,300.
That's a good point. Yeah, maybe everybody got their fill of Concord in the early access window, whereas Highguard didn't have one. Unfortunately, despite a lot of people initially showing interest or curiosity in the game, they just did not stick around.
Yeah, the concurrent player count more than halved the next day, with only 40,000 players returning.
By February 3rd, daily concurrence dipped under 10,000 and never really climbed back above that mark.
The only uptick in Highguard's player count occurred on January 31st when Wildlight Entertainment rolled out 5v5 matchmaking, but even that player swell dwindled pretty quickly.
Which is a shame. Yeah, you'd think if you can get people to take another look at your game that you'd start to see some upward momentum, but just wasn't there. And like we said before, Wildlight Entertainment hasn't shared the total number of layoffs, but Grainer's LinkedIn post sure makes it sound like it's a majority, over half at least, of the game's development team.
A few other developers took their lamentations to social media, giving a slightly broader picture on the scope of these layoffs.
Yeah. Former Wildlight tech artist and rigger Josh Sobel laments the loss of his dream job and implies the game was turned around very quickly in their X posts.
Sobel writes, quote, 2.5 years of working towards a promising, rose-tinted future with the most passionate and efficient devs on the planet. We fucking made that shit fast. I don't think gamers really understand just how special this group of talented devs was.
It's tragic how often sentiments like this are shared every time that there's a massive team destruction like this. It does feel like every time something special does get lost. As far as what that is, maybe it was the speed of this game's development. Sobel clarifies in another reply that Wildlight, quote, made the bulk of the game in the past 2 years.
Sobel also implies that there's a chance Highguard could survive this by saying, if the numbers climb, I'll be the first in line to apply again, which is, by the way, that's kind of a good thing, that as soon as you get laid off, you're like, no, I'd love to come back. Like, that usually means that it was a good working environment.
Yeah, I have to admit, even though our sample size is pretty small, everyone involved seems to be leaving pretty amicably. Speaking of, there's another former Wildlight employee that posted about the situation. Former Wildlight social and community lead Alex Frostwolf also eulogized their job on X, saying, quote, much like our wardens who get back up after losing a fight, we too will rise again for our next adventures.
The unfortunate but not unexpected incident for Highguard has folks remembering comments from Wildlight lead designer Mohammed Alavi.
Yeah, this is an unfortunate aged like milk kind of situation. Speaking to PC Gamer at a preview event, Alavi claimed the game didn't need loads of active players to be a success, thanks to Wildlight's smaller team size.
He said, quote, honestly, we don't need player counts to be super huge in order to be successful. What we're really hoping for is a core group of fans that love us. That will allow us to grow. Well,
yeah, it seems like that's about 5,000 people on Steam.
Yeah, yeah.
And I would hope that somehow there's some model in the world where that could be enough for a freshly launched free-to-play game to at least retain its staff for a while. But man, rough situation.
The game is on other platforms as well. It's on Xbox and PlayStation in addition to Steam. I know that Steam is usually the be-all end-all because that's the only data we have. This is just generally not very good when you're laying everybody off 2 weeks after the game launches. You'd think that maybe you get a month or two of at least trying to get some traction for Highguard. And again, the fact that they pivoted so quickly on the reviews for Highguard when they're like, everybody was whining about 3v3 and they're like, we want 5v5. They gave him 5v5 in like 5 days, which is awesome. And I went in and played 5v5 and I've done it a number of times just for fun, not streaming it. And it is more fun, at least for me. So I was actually really hopeful for the Highguard team to sort of continue their game and keep going on what they're doing. So this is really bad news. This does not bode well for Wildlight, just like it doesn't bode well for the 2XKO team at Riot.
Yes, it's sad, but also a bit curious for these two situations to happen so close to each other. I think on a high enough level, it really just shows you how competitive everything is. New games, even made well, really struggle to find an audience just because there's so much out there. But these are two interesting and very different cases. By all rights, the bulk of Highguard was made in 2 years, whereas 2XKO was in incubation at Riot for 8 or 9 years. So in a lot of ways, the Highguard tale, while tragic, is ostensibly the right way to do it. It sounds like there were a bunch of very passionate, hardworking devs turned this game around real fast, got it out to the market to see if people would like it or not. The question mark is still, funding. For both 2XKO and this game, how was there no runway? None at all. I guess they used all their budget, every last bit, right up until the end when they launched the game and immediately needed a swell of revenue to keep everything going. That's either doesn't show a lot of foresight, which seems weird for a game that could actually be produced in this short amount of time. You would think if the managerial staff can even bring enough people together to make a game like this and get it shipped, that they would be savvy enough in the game to understand that, it may not hit right away. So I'm just kind of confused at all of that, and how there's just no time anymore. It seems like there's just no time at all for a game to find its niche on the market or adapt, even if it can do it quickly, kind of like you said, Bruce. Yeah, I was super impressed to see them flip and turn around 5v5 so quickly. I thought that maybe a couple of months of that would demonstrate good faith to the audience and potentially even prototype and find a mode that everyone likes. A lot of folks brought up remember Fortnite? It didn't launch with Battle Royale, but Epic didn't kill it 6 weeks after launching, the zombie mode, Save the Earth. I can't even remember what it was called, but
Horde mode, basically, yeah.
So, weird world we're living in, and a lot that seems to contradict what you might assume would be logical.
So I think you touched on some interesting points here. Number one, maybe their managerial staff was inexperienced when it comes to launching a game and trying to bring in revenue quickly, because I think they assumed since it was free to play, they get a lot of players, and then a lot of those players would spend money. They go down the funnel, right? You get 100,000 players on Steam, and then let's say 10,000 people spend $20. I don't know that that's what happened. I do think there was a huge bungle, not even by Jeff Keighley or by Wildlight, but I really think there was a massive bungle when it comes to where they were in the Game Awards. And I'm really hoping that Jeff has learned a lesson now, because Jeff believed in this game and really clearly wanted it to succeed, and that's why he gave them the free spot at the Game Awards. But boy, oh boy, did it fuck him real bad. Like, man, I am kind of shocked at how bad this. Like, everyone was saying, well, they wouldn't have as many players at launch because of Jeff's trailer. You're probably right, but they would not have had the negativity. I mean, we're reporting on it because of the negativity. There's this negativity cycle right now in press that everyone's just shitting on Highguard as much as they can. That is not helping the game. If they had been able to launch with a groundswell, let's say they launched with 5,000, 10,000 people, and then sort of everybody starts telling each other, hey, like this game's kind of fun. Like there's interesting things. It's free to play. Give it a shot. Then you slowly build. But even then, like you said, maybe their managerial staff didn't know how to deal with that either. So they did need that huge explosive launch. They just couldn't keep players.
Yeah, I still think all things considered, Jeff still did them a favor. And I think Highguard still had a better shot with that placement than without it. It occurred to me when you were kind of talking about the rollout process, not necessarily inexperience, but I think the world now is just so much different than when some of the people on this team launched Apex Legends, because they tried to follow the same game plan, right? What worked in 2019 just doesn't work anymore. And that is even, I think, an indicator of how quickly things change and how, gosh, no one's got a formula that works anymore. So yeah, that seems to be it. They thought that they had a strategy that worked based on the thing they did last time. But yeah, I think 6 years is a long time, 7 years. I guess we're the spoiled ones. We get to enjoy all the video games on our end of it. And I'm grateful that people keep trying. So even though it didn't seem to go the best, Wildlight Entertainment, thank you very much for making Highguard and giving me an interesting couple of evenings.
Also, back in 2019, Lawrence, when Apex Legends launched, that launched with the support of EA, a multi-billion-dollar publisher. And Wildlight is completely and totally indie. And by all accounts, this is what gamers want. They want an independent publisher and developer. They got it with Wildlight. They want an independent IP and a brand new IP. They got it with Highguard. And I'm telling you, man, everybody was so excited to shit on this game as fast as they could. So it's really interesting to see people turn on this, because I think the fact that it was free-to-play live service with microtransactions, that's the thing that I see people hitting on and mad about. But then also, I'm going to look right at you, viewer. Fortnite and Roblox, those games are the biggest games in the world. The ones that are supported by microtransactions. That's why people are making these games. So it's like when everyone's like, nobody wants microtransactions in a free-to-play live service. That's all people play. So it's crazy, but that's unfortunately the world we live in.
It sure is, Bruce. It's uncomfortable, but it's the truth. And that is a bit of a stinging realization for old heads like maybe you and me that are used to a different format of video game. The lucky thing is there are still people trying to make that, and praise God for that.
It's true. Thank you very much for watching Inside Games Daily. We wish we did not have to eulogize games twice in a week like this. It's really crazy, but it just shows how brave we are, Lawrence.
Yeah, somebody's got to stand vigil over our fallen video games, and we'll do it. We'll do it. If you enjoy our particular brand of games reporting, consider checking out our Patreon. You can find all of our content there posted for free with bonus memes. Every episode has a bonus meme for you. We also typically shout out some patrons right now, but we caught up. We shouted them all out. So if you want to give us more names, and by the way, you can make your name as memey and offensive as you want, and we'll still say it out loud. So we're giving you the opportunity to make us look like fools on the internet. And what better opportunity is that? Thank you very much for watching Inside Games. We'll see you next time.